Don't break that.
It needs replacing.
Break this one.
It's bad.
Yeah, so this blue rag kit was sent directly from Lamborghini, and actually it's starting to tear right there.
So yeah, this one is past worn. I had to cut Evan's expletives for how frustrated he is. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the VSSV Diablo from my good friend Ed Bolian from VinWiki. This will be episode 3 of tearing apart the motor. If you missed the last episode, make sure to check out there. And if you like this content, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. We like having y'all here with us. But it is time to tear apart this motor down to the short block for that pesky little oil leak, or not very little, but you can see the trail down in there. So we have to remove pretty much everything you see here to get down to that pesky little O-ring. So Andy's gonna do that, right, Andy?
Oh yeah, we're gonna take it out and address the flooding issue that this vehicle has. It should take about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, in and out. And then we got some while you're in there is the theme of all the engine jobs like this. We've got the transmission off. We're gonna look at the clutch while we're there. We've got gaskets galore and all the fun stuff.
Crunchy hoses.
Don't break that.
But it needs replacing.
Break this one.
It's bad.
Rubber that's turned plastic, or almost. It's a little petrified.
Like a dry spaghetti noodle, you just...
So when they say major service, this is what you mean, is that while you've got it out here, you just address all the little things so that hopefully you don't have to do this for a very long time. But Evan so lovingly pulled this in the last episode, and now it is time to grab him to do some more work. You should get that. This is him. Shooting away. We'll see which one we like.
Donuts or caffeine?
Pull the 13s and I'll help you snatch this off.
13s? Oh, we're doing intake manifold?
Whatever you want to do first.
You always say it's 3 bolts. It's not 3 bolts.
It's 3 nuts, sir.
Excuse me. It's 3 nuts and then a million other things. Just 3 nuts. That's all it is.
That's what I did. Now I got 3 days.
All right, you want to grab your 5mm
Easer.
and we'll see what the clutch looks like. See if Ed needs to spend some extra money while we're here. Cross pattern.
Oh, I will. And very slowly here in a second.
That's cool.
Every day you get to see someone use a
He could be a
electric ratchet.
They're gonna fuss about that. Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God, you're using
It's a nice long quarter inch. That's what it is.
It's funny, wasn't the white Mercy so bad that you didn't even have to do it in stages?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like 0 pressure on the pressure plate. Oh, I thought I broke that one loose.
You're no good.
It's hard to keep track of a circular pattern from the side.
Everything for the shot.
Everything for the camera. So I'm using hand tools so I can actually feel the pressure of the bolts. So I just kind of go around and feel for anything that's loaded. And so if it spins easily, that means that it's unloaded. And I need to go to a different bolt that is tight, because that means that there is still pressure being applied.
There you go. Yeah, it's pretty hot spotted. I'll have to measure it next to the other one. A lot of debris in there too.
Oh yeah.
Pretty ugly for a manual car.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's looking pretty thin.
You're past the little ridges there. I'd say that's fairly smoked. You're not down to the rivets.
But heck, we've seen that with other ones. They'll start slipping before they hit the rivet.
And actually, you're pretty close to these upper rivets. Oh yeah, someone's absolutely been in here. That is not factory.
Yeah.
And yeah, these have been reused, it looks like. Yep, and actually it's starting to tear right there from being deformed back and forth.
Why do you reuse those? They aren't cheap though, I will say that. I think it's like $100 for those things.
Oh, jeez.
So now the all-important question is, does Mr. Bolian need a new clutch in his Diablo? And just by looking at it, it looks pretty spent, but the measurement is supposed to be about 8.5 millimeters new, which is what we have here. And the maximum allowable limit is 1.5, so that puts you at about 7 millimeter total thickness for a worn out clutch. So what do we have there, Evan?
All right, so we have here.
Well, that's under already.
Yep.
Oh, you got the devil's number. It's a Diablo.
Fitting for Diablo.
So yeah, this one is past worn by almost 0.4 millimeters. So
Yep.
like we can see, that one's pretty spent. Wasn't slipping or anything, which is good, but it is due for a new one. Just to confirm, you want to measure my new one?
All right, so this should measure at about 8.5. Oop, and let's make sure we're measuring at the same spot. And about 8.4, that's...
Within tolerance, but it is brand new, straight from Vallejo, which is who makes the clutch. And no, we've talked about before many times, I don't like the Kevlar and the fancy whatever. You know, I like the nice original clutches. You know, they have a great feel. If you drive them right, you can get a lot of life out of them. The Kevlar ones, they kind of shudder and grab, and I just don't like how they feel. So we're going with a nice factory clutch. Just add it to the bill.
Again, just taking lots of reference photos, just because everything will be about torn down to its bare components. So again, documentation is important.
All right, start yanking the intake. When you're ready, come get me.
All right, 5 minutes. All right, so for the intake manifold, we are gonna have, it's pretty much just 3 bolts that actually physically hold on the intake manifold, but you do have a lot of ancillary objects and lines that have to be taken off as well. So some vacuum lines, some map sensors, so just some more things in addition to our 3 studs right here. But primarily it's just 3 nuts on top of 3 studs that come up and out of the block. And then we'll be able to lift this off and be able to have access to the tops of the heads for our valve covers. We'll also have to get all of our exhaust off. So the exhaust is almost, it's kind of like a, what is that, 3-piece? So you have 1 manifold set for the forward 3 cylinders, another manifold for the rearward 3, your catalytic converter, and then also kind of like a mid section. So it's probably about total of 4 pieces for the for each side. Since I will have to take off all of my exhaust hardware, just again, I'm going to try to get some penetrant on all of the nuts and studs, just to give these the best chance of coming off in one piece. And so either we can A, reuse them, or B, just make sure that they don't break off. We don't actually have to drill and extract any hardware. But especially with a car of this caliber and age, I would like to replace any exhaust hardware, because more likely than not, it is going to either strip or be corroded enough to where I do not trust the integrity of that bolt and nut any longer. So I'm not attacking this just yet. I just want to get a head start on getting everything soaking. And up top here, we do have, so these are little standoffs where we have the engine cover will clip in. So it's just a little quarter turn that retains everything. But directly underneath these bracket standoffs are my bolts for the intake manifold. And so I'm just getting these out of the way. So unclipping all of your vacuum lines and wire loom out of there. And it's just a 10 millimeter nylock nut on either side. These will come right up. And I probably could sneak underneath these with a swivel, but again, I'd rather get straight onto it because I will want to go back on, when I go back together with it, I want to get a torque wrench on it, and you want the torque wrench to be directly in line with it and not off an angle using a swivel or anything to get the most accurate torquing. So I'm just trying to route any wire and harness out of here because a lot of this will come with the intake manifold. So we have map sensors up top here. or sorry, excuse me, our map sensor right here, and also exhaust pressure sensors as well. Won't be anything necessarily retaining it, so I'll probably have to zip tie it back on, or we can actually find a new plug housing. But other side was already broken, so the other side I was able to just pull directly off. So I'm just kind of giving everything a wiggle and a jiggle just to see what all is still tied down. Up top here we have our thermostat, and it is actually connected down here to the water pump. So this is going to come up with the intake manifold, so I'm just going to go ahead and split this hose here. Probably going to get some coolant coming out of here. That broke the seal, so hopefully we should be able to wiggle that off. And you know what? We have a full engine gasket kit for this engine, so to make my life easier, I am actually going to split this little elbow off of here. There's just going to be a simple O-ring underneath. And it just has some little push clips here, and just so I don't break them and I can reuse everything, you just have to squeeze in on those two tabs and push it through. If I were to take a trim tool and get behind there and try to pry it out, more likely than not, these little tabs would splay out and then break off, and then this would no longer actually secure to anything. All right, so here's that O-ring that I was talking about. So we'll go ahead and swap that O-ring over when we go back together with everything. But this way I don't have to fight this hose off of this fitting here. I should be able to lift straight up off of the studs. So let's give it a wiggle and jiggle, see if anything sticks, which it kind of feels like something is. Okay, so we're just hitting a breather hose. I think we can just kind of shimmy it past.
I'm on studs.
Yep.
If you pick your side up just a little bit more, if you can.
There we go.
There it is.
All right, that's the intake manifold.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paul.
Certainly.
So now we have the V of the V12 exposed here. And so you can see all your intake ports here. You have the coolant ports here. And you have your timing chain tensioner. And before I proceed any further, I'll go ahead and plug these off to make sure that nothing falls down in. Nuts, bolts, debris, what have you. And then everyone's got pre-made up 24 or 12
Blue rags.
blue rags.
Oh, you need 14.
Excuse me. Well, I might have 14 here. So you only need 13 total rags. You cut one in half, and I'll fit these smaller guys. Now, so this blue rag kit was sent directly from Lamborghini. Next, we could attack the valve covers, but just so I don't get any unwanted debris in here, I'm gonna go ahead and get these exhaust manifolds off. And hopefully they've had enough time to soak with all that PV blaster, and hopefully they're not gonna give me any issue and come off without anything breaking, stripping, or squeaking. All right, so I just, almost fell over. So anyways, I had a Viper chair, soon to be sponsored by Viper chair. Just went to my toolbox and grabbed any and all of my 13mm flavors. All right, guys, so I do have a good bit off the front of this engine, back of this engine, whichever way you want to look at it. Everything gets a little funky when it's a mid-engine. Anyways, we have the HC compressor off. The power steering pump is held on by a couple 10s right here with a flex joint. And we also have our alternator off here. Have to remove a heat shield, and then it's pinch bolts, fold it off to the side, and then you can pull it off. And so next I am removing the water pump, which is a 13mm lock nut here, here, and here, at which point I can remove this, and that'll aid me in being able to pull off my oil feed and return lines here. These go out over to the remote oil filter housing on the chassis of the car, and that will allow me to be able to get to this timing chain guide plug right here, because I will have to when it comes time to actually remove the cams and timing chain guides, I will have to rotate the engine to top dead center on cylinder 1, and then I'll remove my timing chain guide pins, a little limiting pin in here, and that'll allow me to pull out the camshafts and then eventually remove the heads. So everything is in preparation for that little O-ring right here. So we're getting closer, very close. I need to take off this upper oil pipe, and it makes it easier, and it does have, I do have a O-ring for it. Yep. It's just a really tight fit.
Careful with that. That idler pulley water pump thing, like the idler pulley is like $5,000, the water pump's like $8,000.
Wonderful. And since it is a tight fit, you just have to kind of keep on going around and around and just make sure that you pry it off evenly. Because if you just continue to try to pry it off in one spot, it'll cock at an angle and you will never be able to get it off. All right, there we go. So it is just a big O-ring that is your seal. So this is not really your sealing surface, it is this drum along here it actually seals against. So nothing really seals against this flat surface, just right inside here. I only really need this upper oil tube out, but unfortunately it is actually captured down on this stud here by this lower tube here. So I'm just going to crack it loose, and hopefully I'll just be able to rotate this lower tube off so I can actually extract this one here. All these V12 Lamborghini oil fittings are always a 36 millimeter. Usually on there pretty damn tight. Now that that is loose, so I can just freely rotate it down. And that's where it's gonna live, for now at least. And just another O-ring that we'll replace, but otherwise, I now have my timing chain guide rail limiting cover plug exposed. So I'll take out this plug here and this plug here, but once we get the engine set to top dead center. I'm kind of running out of organizational cups and whatnot, so I'm just trying to thread back on as much hardware as possible. And that way I don't have to remember what cup goes where. Everything's already where it came off of. All right, so we now have the front of this head is nice and free and clear. No more bracketry or anything else that is blocking or impeding its path from coming out. And on the back side of the motor, we do have a shared coolant passage right here. And so that would technically tie these two heads together. So this does have to be removed in order to be able to pull this head off in that direction and this head off and up in this direction. So at that point, our heads are nice and separated. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off my valve covers, remove my spark plug tubes, and we'll get going. So these spark plug tubes are actually threaded down into the spark plug hole bores. So we will have to grab, if my memory serves, I think it's a 52 millimeter socket, and then we'll run all 12 of these up and out, and there should be an O-ring at the bottom of each one. And we'll get these heads off. We'll get to the obnoxious tool here in a minute once the valve cover's off, and I can just show you a little bit more about it. But the heads are held on by head studs and with acorn nuts, and those head studs are directly below the camshafts, and there's no relief cut beneath the camshaft, so even when you have the camshafts out, you cannot actually get to each individual head stud nut. So there is a special tool, kind of shaped like an L, that you can kind of sneak up underneath it and get those head stud nuts off. But first, we'll get these spark plug tubes out, and it is going to be a 50 millimeter socket that will do the trick here. Don't recall the exact torque spec on these, but they are definitely pretty tight. It's kind of like a hollowed out bolt, so once I get one of these out, I'll be able to illustrate it a bit better. And there you go. So you have a fairly fine thread on the bottom there. but otherwise it's just a big hollow bolt. All right, so up next is going to be our back cover cam plates back here. Similarly, up front here, we will have to remove our cover plates here, our cam position sensor, our intake solenoids. So a little bit more work, but we are getting closer. So I do have a little bit more of the motor taken apart here. So primarily we have our intake cam solenoids off, our cover plates off, because they are, as I'll show you here, it is one big square chunk of aluminum that would capture our valve cover on top. So these have to be removed, 2 on up front, 2 at the rear, for a total of 8 plates in all. And one specific thing with these engines is you have your crank position sensor over here, and you do have a finger with a pinch bolt that can rotate pretty much anywhere that you want it. So you do want to make sure that you have a scribe mark somewhere on there to reference where to put this back, make sure that you get your timing correct. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. So, should be able to just kind of lift up on these, give them a wiggle. And they are on studs, so you just have to kind of come up on it nice and straight and even. And there you are. So we have nice clean cams in here. And I don't see anything too egregious. And so if you look, these are our lifters with shim over bucket. But if you look all the way across the camshaft, there is no relief for our head stud nuts directly underneath. So we're gonna have head stud nuts all the way across underneath both of our cams. And I'll show you that special tool here in a minute. But we'll go ahead and snatch off our, yeah, so someone's already been in here. This is not a factory marking. There are some other small clues that let me know that someone's been in here previously, but it does not look like they have done a poor job other than using probably a little bit too much sealant. And if you look on the back here, you can see some remnants of sealant here, and this is all kind of some clear sealant, and you only really need just a touch here and a touch here, and they've kind of gooed all the way around it. So that's probably my only bad thing to say about this previous person's job. Other than that, it looks really good. Let's see if this valve cover wants to come off a little easier. And it does. Some really big arrows. I don't think I can mistake which direction these will go in. We're filming. Quiet on set. All right, guys, so we are going to have to remove our camshafts. And in order to do so, we need to first go ahead and rotate cylinder 1 to top dead center. And on these V12s, it is cylinder 1 through 6, 7 through 12. So this is going to be our number 1 cylinder here. And so this is going to be our top dead center finder right here. So this is going to be a guide that is the same thread pitch and diameter as your spark plug. So that'll thread into spark plug tool. You have your dial gauge and your extra long probe to actually go down into the cylinder and touch the piston. On a Bitsterini V12, it does actually rotate counterclockwise rather than clockwise, which is more normal. And so what I'm going to be doing is watching my dial indicator. And so as you see, it is now pushing up the probe. And so what I'm looking for, so as the piston rises, it's going to be pushing up on that probe. So technically we just passed top dead center, and so you see the probe lowering back down. So that is the piston lowering. And so I'm gonna go a little bit slower and try to actually grab it as it's coming up to the peak of its rotation. So I'm just looking at all my cam lobes, and for the most part, they are all off of the lifters, which means that they are not, other than this one here and this one here, they are all unloaded.
The fun part has come. A little wiggle, a little jiggle. Serious bass. Evan's been pretty frustrated from whoever worked on this motor last. Just put silicone and Bondo and glue everywhere. It looks a little mangled, a little flat. So here is the offending part, is that O-ring right there on the head. And from what we can tell, it's just like his frustrations of this whole motor is all the excess silicone they put on everything, because you can see they siliconed the head gaskets in place.
There's just more silicone.
Yep, so it didn't allow the O-ring to seal.
Nope.
Even though it is pretty flat, but.
Yeah, so they did more harm than good there.
Yep, that's the bad thing about, I guess, I don't know, inexperience?
And they also used the wrong type of RTD. They
Yeah.
should have the orange sealant along here.
Oh yeah, they don't. They didn't
Which
put
they
any.
don't.
So they put too much in the wrong areas and not enough in the right areas. So beautiful. Well, I had to cut Evan's expletives for how frustrated he is with. Look at that. That is just a total blob of silicone, and it's like clear silicone. Like,
You know, you get a little.
is that like bathroom caulking?
No, I think it's just your Jello that goes with your tiramisu for your Lamborghini.
Jello and tiramisu? That's a thing?
Yeah.
No. What this guy it is.
Yeah, that's horrible. We still got to pull the other side. You ready? All right, head number 2, because one head is just not enough. Wiggle, jiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yep, more of the same. Not exactly an O-ring anymore. And more blobs of silicone. It's just magical that this one wasn't leaking.
And once again, a deformed O-ring from application of too much.
You can see
without
that.
even RTV. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, we don't know what that is, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Well, that got out of hand rather quickly. We are down to a bare engine block. The upper oil pan is off and everything. Like I said, the while you're in there is goes pretty deep on a project like this. And for a car as special as this, and for my good friend Ed, we want to make sure we go all and above and beyond to make sure that this one is ready for many more years and many more miles, and that hopefully it will get seen for the next 14, 15 years of its life and driven rather than hidden away. But we got some more work to do. We're sending the heads off to get a fresh skim coat on the mating surface, and we will be back very soon.